Ja, soll ich offen lassen einfach? Einfach offen, okay. Bis gleich. So, jetzt habe ich ein Bild. How's the sound? Sounds pretty good. Welcome here online. I'll be there in a sec. Just don't bang your head, yeah? Push. Nice to see you all this morning. Welcome to the Shala on this fine, kind of snowy day. How are you? Tip top? Okay. So, it's like, okay, good. So I didn't have much planned to talk about this morning, but I thought I would mention that maybe some of you follow on Instagram, maybe follow some of my posts that I've been sharing recently, and I thought I would share a little bit of my journey with cleansing, which I've been doing for 2 years now, and I'll be sharing that as an informal gathering next Saturday after class. So if anyone is maybe interested to consider cleansing, or why to cleanse, or what in particular to do. So this is the book that I follow, that I've been working with for 2 years, Medical Medium. I don't know if anyone knows of Medical Medium. I know a few of you know of it. But I was sort of suffering from some conditions that I couldn't shake. Maybe some of you have the same experience, that there's conditions or symptoms that you've been having that are mysterious, or you've gone to several different doctors, and everyone obviously wants to try and help, but it still keeps coming back. It's not really solved. But that was happening to me. For example, migraines, they were getting worse and worse. Bladder infections, they were coming more and more. And some other hormonal things, and it was just getting a little bit frustrating. And I was kind of praying to the gods to send me some support, some insight. I didn't want to just live with these symptoms as kind of being part of my life. I didn't really feel like accepting them. I thought we're intelligent beings. Our body is intelligent. It can heal if we are given the right information, the right input. And Anthony Williams landed on my lap, and I sort of haven't looked back, and I've been following his suggestions for 2 years quite diligently, and I haven't had a migraine for 2 years. I'm so happy. I haven't had a bladder infection for 2 years. So happy. And so many other things have dissolved slowly, more and more. It's getting easier and easier. And now I thought it's the time to maybe share that information in a super informal way. And I thought, okay, just do it, Kira. You know, I don't know everything. It's not like I'm an encyclopedia. The encyclopedias are here. He's got about 5 books or so. And maybe I can be of some support. I think if you're suffering alone, it's not so much fun. Yeah. and perhaps we can bounce off each other, and you can try a few of the tips and see if it works for you. And that's why I thought I would share with you today. And a friend of mine, Christina, she will also be joining me as well next week. She's done, I don't know, way more cleanses than me over the years, probably, I don't know, 14 or something like this. And she also guides people through. And we thought together maybe we would share that. So if anyone has time next week, you're more than welcome to come. It's free. Come if you want. Yeah. So, and what I love about him is that his information is extremely relevant to our times. It's very, very relevant. And that's all I'll say until next week, because then next week we share more. Yeah. So I'm super happy to see you this morning, and let's flow. We'll do some side bends, we'll do some arm balances, hip openers. The music is quite feminine today. Just so you'll be prepared. I like different kinds of music, and today it's a bit more on the feminine side. So we'll be also turning on the yoga mat today. The front of your mat is called the front of your mat. When we turn to the left, we turn to the left. When we turn to the right, and this is the back of your mat. Yeah? And that way we can maintain the orientation. Yeah? So, good. Let's arrive. Simple Sukhasana, so comfortable cross-legged position. Closing your eyes and welcoming yourself here. Just as you are. Breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. Notice what's present, whether it's a physical sensation, whether it's mental activity. With this next exhale, soften into the buttocks and feel your sitting bones rooting you down into the earth. Just be here. There's nothing to prove on your yoga mat. We're not trying to get better or have the perfect pose. We're not trying to get more flexible in our body. This may happen as a byproduct. Maybe ask yourself, why are you here? What did you come for today? And what keeps bringing you back to your yoga mat time and time again? Maybe that's the real nectar of your desire to come. So take a deep inhale and we'll lift a little through the breastbone. Create a little more space through the front of the rib cage. And then round the back a little, sort of bring awareness into spreading between the shoulder blades. And then again open into the front of your heart center. And then rounding, breathing into the back of the heart. Open back up with your next inhale. And one more rounding as you exhale. As you next inhale, start to open through the heart and reach your arms out to the side and above. Interlace your fingers, lengthen through the lower back as you draw the palms toward the ceiling. Gather your deep abdominal muscles softly toward the front of the spine. Grounding the right hand to the earth, the fingers point out to the side and reach the left arm over. And then as you exhale, fold over the right leg, pausing there. And then as you next inhale, come back into the side bend again. So from the ground, opening up. And then folding back down over the knee, exhale. And then folding back up. It's like a preparation for one of our peak poses. Folding down as you exhale. And then from that ground support, opening up and rolling your heart toward the ceiling. With your next inhale, come back through center. For the second side, exhale, grounding the left hand, the fingers point out to the side, and we'll reach the right arm over. And then folding down and over the left knee. And then from the ground, opening back up. And 2 more cycles with the rhythm of your breath. Exhale, folding down and over. And from the ground, inhale and rolling your heart toward the ceiling. Last one, exhale. Inhale. Pause, and with your next inhale, come back up through center. Ground in your hands, exhale and release your feet to the earth for a seated malasana. We'll bring the right arm in underneath the right leg and reach the left arm toward the ceiling. Anchor your feet to the earth so the root of the big toe anchors down too. You can bring the left arm around behind you. If you like to go further, bend the right elbow and find your fingers or your wrist, for example. Press down through the sitting bones, press down through the feet as you roll your heart toward the ceiling. And center back, exhale. Changing sides, left arm comes under. Roll your heart toward the ceiling. An option to go further. Right arm around. Take a wrist or your fingers, press through the feet, press through the sitting bones. Center back as you exhale. Draw your feet a bit closer toward you so you can come into a full malasana. If it's not so fine for the knees, you can sit a little higher up and bring the forearms to the thighs. Pause, sinking through the sitting bones as you lift through your heart, softening the shoulders down. Deep inhale. And as you exhale, ground your fingertips. Let's come into Uttanasana. If you're wearing socks, it's a great time to remove the socks. Bend and straighten the knees a little, bring a bit of movement through the back of the legs, soft and steady. So we go quite deep into the hamstrings, so let this be quite soft to begin with. Notice if there's a lot of tightness, and breathe. Rather than pushing through the tightness, just breathe into it. And then finding your way into downward facing dog pose. Same principle here. Pulse in the legs. Feel the movement that creates through the hips and the lower back. I sometimes really love that movement. So pulsing, lifting and sinking of the pelvis. And anchor in the four corners of the palms of your hands to the earth. Spread your fingers and anchor down to support, extending back to the sitting bones. Feeling space through the armpits, between the ribs, and space between the rib cage and pelvis. And use the balls of your feet to propel you forward into plank pose as you inhale. Option grounded knees. And with your exhale, bend the elbows, come halfway down. Your option to come to the earth for a cobra or shift your weight forward and through for upward facing dog pose. And then pressing back for downward facing dog pose. Exhaling. Let's go through that again. Inhale, use the balls of your feet to propel you forward. Exhale, option, bend the knees or keep them straight, come halfway down. Maybe for upward facing dog pose or come to the earth for cobra instead. And then pressing back into downward facing dog pose. So we'll start to turn on the yoga mat. We'll raise the right leg toward the ceiling with your inhale. Keep your shoulders centered. And with your exhale, shift your right foot forward between your hands. A lunge twist, so the left hand stays to the earth and we twist toward the right, radiate the right arm toward the ceiling. As you exhale, turn to the left for Skandasana. The left knee will bend, the right leg is active, and the toes are turned slightly outwards. Keep the hips roughly at the height of your hips. And then we can change sides. If you lift your hips on the inhale, and then bend the right knee. The heels are on the ground. Draw the hips back and your heart forward. The straight leg is really active. Yeah. Change again. Inhale. Exhale. Look to the back of your mat now. Turn to the back of your mat. Inhale. And ground the right knee to the earth as you exhale. Now raise your chest and your arms. Inhale. Nice back bend. Exhale, ground your hands to the earth. Come inhaling into plank pose, facing the back of the mat. Connect it through now with a Vinyasa. Exhale, option, ground the knees. Take your back bend. And we meet in downward facing dog pose, exhaling. Let's raise the right leg to the ceiling, inhale. Exhale, shift the right foot forward between your hands. Back leg is active, lunge, twist to the right, inhale. Exhale, turn to the left for Skandasana again. The left knee will bend and the right leg is active. The hips are at the height of the left knee. Open your heart forward. Deep inhale, start to straighten the left leg. Exhale, bend the right knee. Inhale. Exhale, bend the left knee. Inhale, turn to the front of your yoga mat. Exhale, ground the right knee. Inhale, raise your chest and arms. Pause. And then with your next exhale, ground your hands. Come into plank pose, inhaling. And through a connecting vinyasa of your choice, slow and steady, keep your center strong. And we meet in downward facing dog pose as we exhale. So the second side now, the second direction, we'll raise our left leg, linker Bein nach oben. Exhale, shift the left foot forward between your hands. Lunge twist again, inhale, lift and open. Exhale, turn to the right now for Skandasana. Hips draw back, heart opens forward. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, go bend the left knee. Inhale. Exhale. Turn to the back of your yoga mat. Inhale. Ground the left knee. Exhale. Inhale into your back bend. Take a full breath. And then slowly with your next exhale, ground your hands to the earth through plank. Inhale. And connect it through. Exhale. Draw the shoulders down as you come into your back bend. Pressing into downward facing dog pose. Exhale. The same left leg will lift. Linker Bein nach oben. Inhale. Shift the left foot forward between your hands. Exhale, lunge twist again. Inhale to the left. Exhale, turn to the right. Skandasana. Press the outer edges of your feet to the earth. Change. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Turn to the front of your yoga mat. Inhaling. Exhale, ground the left knee. In through your back bend. Deep breath in. And slow and steady exhale. Straighten the back leg through plank. Inhale. Take it smooth and easy. Exhale. Inhale. Through to downward facing dog pose. Exhale. Pause some breaths. Gaze to the toes. Maybe close your eyes. Two more deep breaths. So with your next inhale, we'll raise the right leg, rechte Bein, inhaling. Exhale, shift your right foot forward between the hands. Now for a high lunge, so we'll raise our chest and arms. And as you exhale, open into warrior two, so the left heel grounds down. Gaze beyond the right fingers. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, turn the right toes in. And then with your next exhale, draw the heels inwards. So for a high malasana, we'll bend the knees, draw the arms forward, and the right arm comes underneath the left. Bend the elbows and draw your hands towards prayer. Then pulse a little, press through the feet as you lift the hips. Inhale, keeping your chest upright, and as you exhale, sink a little deeper down. Two more. Inhale, press through the feet, lift a little. And then from your center, radiate down through the legs into the feet. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Start to release the arms and straighten the legs as you inhale. Then for warrior two, facing the back of your mat. So the left foot will turn directly the back of your mat, the right toes turn slightly in. The left knee will bend, and we're in warrior two. And grounding your hands to the earth at the back of your mat. Exhale. Take your plank pose. Inhale. And through a connecting vinyasa. Slow and steady. Leading with your heart. Inhale. To downward facing dog pose. Exhale. So the same right leg will lift. Rechte Bein nach oben. Breathe in. And shift the right foot forward between your hands. Exhale for high lunge. Inhale, facing the back of your mat. Opening into a warrior two as you exhale, gazing beyond the right fingers. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, turn the right toes in. Inhale, draw the heels in. Exhale, bend the knees, left arm under, bend the elbows, hands towards prayer, keep your chest upright. Inhale, lift a little, and exhale, pulse, sinking deeper. Inhale, press through the feet, gather to your center, and then from your center, radiate out and down through the legs into the feet. One more cycle. Exhale. Start to straighten the legs, open your arms, inhale. Warrior two facing the front of your mat, so the left foot turns directly forward, the right turns slightly in. Shoulders are soft. And then with your exhale, ground your hands to the earth. We come through plank pose. Inhaling and connect your vinyasa through. Exhale. Inhale. Downward facing dog pose. Exhale. So the left leg, linker Bein nach oben. Inhale. Shifting your left foot forward between your hands. Exhale, high lunge. Inhale. Open into warrior two with your exhale. Inhale, start to straighten the left leg. Exhale, turn your feet parallel now. You can bring your hands to your waist. For Prasarita Padottanasana, we'll roll the heart toward the ceiling. Inhale. Then draw the hips back, keep your heart space nice and open. Draw the shoulders away from the ears and the elbows up toward the sky as you fold forward. Then you can release the fingertips in line with the toes to the earth. Inhale, option to look forward again and really lengthen through belly, ribs, chest. And then press through the hands and energetically forward, and that will help to bring your chest deeper in underneath your legs. Or in underneath your hips, better said. Lift and spread the toes, anchor the four corners of the foot to the earth, so the root of the big toe, the root of the little toe, and the inner and outer heels. With your next inhale, open your heart and look forward. And with your exhale, bring your hands to your waist and lengthen through the neck, look down. And then press through the feet, come all the way up to standing. Inhale, you can roll your heart toward the ceiling for a soft back bend. And with your exhale, center your chest, open your arms wide. The right foot turns to the back of the mat, the left toes turn in, and we bend the knee for warrior two. Soft shoulders. Radiate through the arms, through the fingers. And ground the hands to the back of your mat. Exhale for plank pose. Inhale. And travel it through. Exhale, slow and steady. Through your back bend. And we meet in downward facing dog pose, exhaling. The left leg will lift. Linker Bein, inhale. Exhale, shift the left foot forward for a high lunge. Inhale. Opening into a warrior two. Exhale. So the right toes are turned in slightly. Inhale, straighten through the left leg. Exhale, draw the feet parallel. Let's interlace our fingers behind us now this cycle. Draw the shoulder blades toward each other. Take a deep inhale. Roll your heart to the ceiling. As you exhale, keep your heart space nice and open as you fold forward, drawing the arms over. And with your next inhale, create space between the pubic bone and breastbone. And with your exhale, hold that space as you dive a little deeper forward. Change how you interlace the fingers. So if the right thumb's on the outside, change it so the left thumb is. And change all the other fingers. Then use your next inhale, pressing through the feet. Keep your legs strong. Come all the way back up. Roll your heart toward the ceiling. And with your exhale, center your chest, open the arms wide, turn the right foot facing the front of the mat, the left toes turn in, and we're in a warrior two. Ground your hands to the earth as you exhale through a connecting Vinyasa. And we meet in downward facing dog pose. Pausing there, breathing. So raise the heels as you inhale, bend the knees as you exhale. Look at the space between your hands. Lift your sitting bones high, and it's a little bunny hop your feet to the outer edges of your hands. And we come into Malasana. You can anchor your arms to the inner legs and draw your hands down into prayer to your heart. Take a full breath in. The full breath out. And you can always come back to this position or choose to stay in this position. We'll come to Bhujapidasana. It's an arm balance. The hips will lift about to the height of the hips, to the height of the knees. And then as you exhale, draw your chest down in between your legs and press actively the arms and the legs against each other, so squeeze there. Then draw your fingertips back behind you, shoulder width apart. The fingers face forward. And then as you slowly descend your hips down, you'll find you'll be able to bring the whole palm to the earth. And with that change of weight, maybe you can lift your feet off the ground and cross the ankles. If it's challenging for you to find that balance without falling back, you could take 2 blocks and place them behind you and place your hands on the blocks, shoulder width apart. Make sure the blocks don't flip up toward the ceiling. We get a second go at this, so breathe and pause. If you do find your ankles, press through the feet, lift a little through the pelvic floor. Open your heart, look forward. And then very slowly, if you're on blocks, you'll probably want to ground your feet first, remove the blocks, and then come down to your buttocks. Take your big toes with your 2 fingers and thumb for Urdhva Konasana. So we're balancing just behind the sitting bones. You can keep the knees bent if that helps you stay more balanced and more over the back of the sitting bones. Lift through your heart, the shoulders soften down. And the big toes are actively pushing into the fingers, and the fingers are pulling. That will give you a lot of support. Exhale, draw the soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. Just a couple of breaths. You can actively press the outer edges of your feet against each other. And as you do that, perhaps feel the rotation inside the hip joints, bringing the knees a little deeper down to the earth. Chest is nicely lifted. Shoulders draw down. Deep breaths. The left leg will stay as it is. We'll lift the right knee up. You can take hold of either the ankle or the heel and extend the right leg toward the ceiling. Better to have your belly and your thigh touching rather than really rounding and collapsing. So if you need to, bend that right knee. And then we're just hanging on to the right leg or foot with the right hand and draw that right knee back in underneath the armpit. Sort of pulse in it a few cycles. Option to stay here or go further, the right leg comes over the right arm. So you'll need to round the back here. The left hand holds over the front of that right foot. You extend into the heel. Right hand comes to the earth. Really lean into that right hand. Breathe in. And as you exhale, we extend through the right leg. The left arm lifts up above the head. And we'll roll our heart toward the ceiling. So extend into the heel. Good. Breathe. With your exhale, come back slowly, bending the right knee. The right leg swings around behind you. Did I say, yeah, the right leg? Yeah, good. So this will be an active variation. The right toes are tucked under. If this doesn't feel good for your knee, you can simply stay in Sukhasana. Otherwise, if you're good here, the right toes tuck under, the fingertips to the earth, and we hug the legs toward the center line, and that will lift the hips up. Actively hugging in, and you could choose to keep the arms dangling or reach them toward the ceiling. Nice opening into the rib cage. And ground the hands to the earth as you exhale. Come through plank, inhale. And connect your vinyasa through to downward facing dog pose. With your exhale arriving. Good, downward facing dog pose. Slowly we'll raise the right leg, rechte Bein, toward the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, shift the right foot forward for a high lunge. Inhale. Radiate through the fingers, anchor through the right sitting bone. Draw your hands together into prayer. Your heart start to lean forward and we'll twist to the right, over the right leg. Anchoring the left arm to the outside of the right leg, option 1. Or come into the bound variation, the right arm will come around. And the left arm in underneath the right leg. Once you find your fingers, then lengthen or create space between that right hip and the right rib cage. Or the right hip and the right shoulder, so lengthen that space. With support through your center, press through that right foot and come back into a high lunge with your inhale. Opening into a warrior 2 now with your exhale. Pause and breathe. Sweep the left arm around behind you. Anchor in that right thigh and that right sitting bone toward the earth as we come into a side warrior inhale. Keep actively pressing down through that left hand and reaching through the right arm, and you'll feel a nice force from the center outwards. And with your exhale, bring the right forearm to the right thigh. Option 1. Option 2, the right hand to the inside of that right foot. And radiate the left arm over by your ear. Option 3, the left arm around and the right arm under for the bound variation. The right sitting bone draws back toward the left heel. Stay there, but just draw that hip back. Yeah. Genau. Exhaling, releasing your hands to the inside of that right foot. Turn to the left for Skandasana now. The left knee will bend, right leg is active. And we'll slowly sink the buttocks all the way to the ground. So take your time so that you're safe with the left knee. You come to sitting and you bring that left foot as far forward away from that left sitting bone as you need to, so that you're actually sitting down. So option 1, the right hand to the inside of the right leg, and the left arm will radiate toward the ceiling. Option 1. Option 2, It's a little stronger. Option 2, you can use your right hand to hold the left ankle. Right hand will go across to hold the left ankle. And then you bring the left arm up and over. And some of you may even be able to hold the outer edge of that right foot with the left hand. Just turn your toes in a bit more. Yeah, again, just the toes. Yeah? And it's better in line with the knee. The heart rolls toward the ceiling. Lift and lengthen through the lower, middle, and upper back. And then raise your chest slowly as you inhale. As you exhale, take the left ankle with the left hand. And then we turn to the front of the mat, point the left foot, and we draw the legs parallel. Some of you might need to sit higher up on a blanket so that there's no stress through that left knee. And if you're quite high up, you could close the gap between the right knee and the earth by a blanket or keeping it slightly bent so you're not trying to push it through toward the earth. Once you're grounded through the sitting bones, we'll take a forward bend as we exhale. The right toes open toward the ceiling. Just with your next inhale, lift your chest and lengthen the space between the pubic bone and the navel. And then from the navel into the breastbone. And then as you exhale, fold down again. There's just a small little lift and then perhaps deepening of your forward fold. And then with your next inhale, we can slowly raise our chest. As you exhale, we'll shift our weight forward so that we can come into a low lunge on the forearms and preferably keep that left leg strong and straight. The right sitting bone draws toward the back of your mat. And the outer, the right side of your waist, the rib cage can press against the inner right leg, actively pressing that part toward each other. And this will help to give you a nice force of support to your center line. It also helps to think the inner upper thighs are hugging a block, for example, keeping them strong and toward the center line too. Lengthen and open your heart forward. Come onto your hands. The hands are to the inside of the right foot. And ground the left heel to the earth as in a warrior two. Sink your your chest down and the right arm comes behind the right leg and ground the hand to the outside of the right foot if you need to use a block. First variation, the left hand to the waist. Second variation, the left arm toward the ceiling. Press the arm and the inner leg against each other. Next variation, maybe we know where we're going. The left arm comes in front of your body and holds the outer right edge of the right foot. You need to lift your heel first, that would be helpful. Lift the heel and take hold of the outer edge of that right foot with the left hand. Once it's off the floor, you can breathe in, and then as you exhale, roll your heart toward the ceiling. And then with your exhale, find your smooth way to plank pose. Good. Your smooth way to plank pose and a connecting vinyasa. It can be a cat-cow, but not a flop flip, yeah? So, that was a long wave. Do we remember the beginning? Yes! Sure thing. Let's take a few breathers. If you sip water, just take a little sip rather than gulping half a liter. Yeah? Another 5 good deep breaths. So we meet in downward facing dog pose. The heels will lift, the knees will bend. You can look forward, lift through the sitting bones, and a little bunny hop your feet to the outer edges of your hands for Malasana. And we're back at the beginning of the wave. Compress the arms to the inner legs, your hands towards prayer. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Option to stay here, or you come back to this position when you've had enough of Bhujapadasana. Going further, maybe if you know, you can take some blocks and place it behind your legs, shoulder width apart. As you sink forward, first really squeeze the legs and arms against each other. Round the back, and then slowly ground the fingertips, and as you start to lower the hips, you might be able to then ground the whole palm, and that change of weight will just float your feet up. And if you cross the ankles, try crossing them the other way around, or option, you can straighten the legs forward for I forget the name, doesn't matter. Legs are straight. Mm-hmm. Good. Beautiful. Then we'll be slowly coming down to our buttocks. So if you are on blocks with your hands, maybe ground your feet first. Remove the blocks and then come to sit-in. Take hold of your big toes with your 2 fingers and thumbs. We're in Urdhva Konasana again. Soften the shoulders down and lift through your heart. Exhale for Baddha Konasana. And again, press the outer edges of the feet against each other actively, and you may feel the action of deep inside the hip joints, enabling the knees to maybe descend a millimeter or a couple of millimeters deeper down. You could go into a deeper variation by bringing the lower arms to the legs and pressing down but outwards also toward the knees. Open your heart forward. Inhale, slowly come back up. Exhale, lift the left knee up. Take hold of either the ankle or the heel. Draw the belly toward the thighs, so rather than rounding the back and trying to reach that straight leg, bend the knee, and you'll have more mobility then to lift through the lower back. The right leg is in a Ardha Sukhasana. Then you can take a hold of the left ankle with the left hand or the heel and then draw the knee back. A few cycles, pulse in underneath the armpit. You can always stay in this variation or come back. A good way to gauge how you are in a pose is how's your breath. So if you're in the hardest one, holding your breath, it might be better to come back to an easier variation where the breath is a little more smooth. Left leg over the left arm. There you'll feel you need to round the back. The right arm over the left leg. So this is a reflection of the peak pose. The left hand to the earth. Extend out through the left leg and then roll your heart toward the ceiling. And in the peak pose, that right leg is in a warrior two. Start to bend the left knee as you exhale. Either Sukhasana with a bit of a back bend, or the left leg will come around. The left toes tuck under. And then we hug the legs toward each other. And that will lift through the hips. Keep actively hugging in. That will give you a tremendous amount of support to radiate through the arms. It's quite strong through the legs. Keep hugging in. And grounding down as you exhale through plank. Inhale. And connect your vinyasa through if you need to, a cat-cow. Make it easier on yourself. So the left leg will lift, linker Bein nach oben. Inhale. Shift your left foot forward between your hands. Exhale, high lunge. Inhale. Draw your hands together into prayer and start to lean forward. Exhale, twist into the left. Really anchor that right arm to the outer left leg. Option stay or bound. Bind left arm around, right arm under. Once you find your fingers, then lengthen that space between the left hip and the left shoulder. So create space at the side waist. And then roll your heart toward the ceiling. Good. Spread the toes. Let's come into high lunge. Inhale, good support through your center so you transition smoothly. Open into warrior two as you exhale. Strong back leg. The right arm anchors around, and if you can, reaches down onto that left thigh and actively press down as you come into your side bend. So you're not bringing all your attention to the opening, but also to the grounding. From the ground, we can rise. From the ground, the support we can create. Exhale, left forearm to the thigh, option one. Option two, the left hand to the inside of the left foot. And radiate the right arm toward the ceiling. Option three, bind it again. Once you bind, the left sitting bone hugs in underneath. Good angles or anchors toward that right heel. And then you can really roll your heart toward the ceiling. This is a great preparation for the peak pose. Ground your hands to the inside of the right foot, turn to the right for Skandasana. The right knee will bend, the left leg is active. And then take your time to slowly sit all the way down. Die rechte Bein gebeugt, die linke Bein gestreckt. Shift that right foot away from your body as far as you need to so you can sit comfortably. You could have that foot maybe a bit further forward. Ja, genau. So the left hand to the inside of the left leg. First variation, the right arm toward the ceiling, and we come into a side bend over the left leg. Also a nice preparation for the peak. Or going further, use your left hand to hold the right ankle, and then you reach over with the right arm and hold the outer edge of the left foot. And then draw that right knee away from your left foot. So again, from your center, you're radiating out. Breathe and create space through the belly, ribs, and chest, through the lower, middle, upper back. And then with your next inhale, slowly lifting up. With your exhale, take your right ankle, turn, point that right foot. The legs are parallel, sit as high as you need to on a blanket so that you're grounded rather than falling to one side. Deep inhale, and as you exhale, slowly walk your hands forward, coming into a forward bend. This can be thought of as a rest pose, yeah? Kind of a pause between the peak, final exertion. Slowly lift your chest with your inhale. And as you exhale, use your hands to shift your weight forward. Inhale. Exhale the forearms to the earth. If you're tired, of course, you can ground the right knee. Otherwise, keep it strong. And press that leg actively against the left side of your body. At the same time, hug your inner upper thighs toward the center line. Stay buoyant and open your heart forward. Be the peaceful tiger getting ready to pounce. So we can come up onto our hands and ground that right heel to the earth. So it's a warrior 2 foot. Anchor in. The left arm comes in underneath the left leg and around and holds to the outer edge of that left foot. You can also have a block. The right hand to the waist, option 1. Roll your heart toward the ceiling. Option 2, radiate that right arm. Option 3, lift your left heel and use the right hand, swing it around in front of you, hold the outer edge of that left foot. Inhale, the back leg is strong. Exhale, roll your heart toward the ceiling. And breathe. And then we find our way into plank pose. Super. And simply lower down to the earth. That was me yesterday. Like, oh, God. Take a little rest. Breathe. Draw your hands by your rib cage. Roll your heart toward the ceiling. Inhale. Lower back down as you exhale. 2 more cycles. Rolling up, inhaling. Lowering down as you exhale. Last one. Inhale. Roll over your knees and come to a wide-legged child's pose. In a simple transition, lift your chest as you inhale. Lift your seat, maybe cross the ankles and come back to sit on your buttocks. We'll open the legs wide, so maybe zigzag yourself. For Upavishta Konasana, you can take a blanket, sit on the edge of a blanket perhaps, giving you a little bit more height, a little bit more support for the pelvis and lower back. The toes open up toward the ceiling. Feel free to bend the knees. That gives you a little more mobility through the pelvis. You can also stay upright if you're a little tired of all this forward bending. Feel free to stay upright. Or we can come then into another peak pose, Upavishta Konasana. Toes open up toward the ceiling, or the feet sort of roll slightly inwards toward the earth. Just keep your hands where they are and just take a deep inhale and roll your heart or create more space through the belly, ribs, chest. Inhale, slowly return. Exhale your fingertips behind you. Bend the knees, draw the legs together. Inhale and exhale, extend the legs forward. So again, if you don't want another forward bend, feel free to simply stay upright. Or, so final forward bend, you could choose to bend the knees and keep the toes opening toward the ceiling, extending into the heels. Or if you're quite open now, keeping the legs straight, folding forward, keep the shoulders soft. Breathe deep. Perhaps you can feel the belly pressing against the thighs as you inhale, massaging. Massaging the belly. Just hold your attention with the movement of your breath. It's quite meditative when you can really feel the belly against the thighs. If you don't have your belly against the thighs, feel free to bend the knees so that you make that contact. Another 2 breaths. Use your inhale to return. And as you exhale, bend the right knee and ground the foot to the outside of the left leg. Grow tall with your inhale, and as you exhale, we'll twist toward the right. In option 1, you hug the right leg with the left arm. Option 2, you can bring the left arm to the outside of that right leg. Option 3, you can bind in underneath that right leg. So actively extend into the left heel. Soften the shoulders down. Through center, release in inhaling. Exhaling, extend the right leg forward. Second side, the left foot to the outside of the right leg. Press down, inhale, grow tall. First variation, as you twist, extend into that right heel. The left sitting bone will draw a little back. And then continue the twist up the spine, through the thoracic spine. And you can bring the right arm to the outside of the left leg perhaps, or go deeper into the bound variation. Stay active through the right leg, remembering the right toes, so your awareness is inside throughout your whole body. There's nothing that you're not attentive to. Use your inhale to come back. And your exhale to release the left foot forward. You can remove any blanket from behind you. Lean back into your hands with the fingers pointing forward. Grounding your feet. Press your hands and lift through the breastbone. You could stay here, or with your next inhale, lift the hips, lengthen through the lower back, and then lift the hips higher. Looking down over the center of your body and focus on opening the front of the pelvis. Push through the feet and the hands. Inhale. And lower slowly down, exhale. Option, keep the knees bent and we go again. Or you straighten the legs forward. And the root of the big toe will anchor down toward the earth so we don't fall to the outer edges of the feet. The legs stay parallel. Imagine you're hugging, you could even take a block. That's awesome. And hug the block between your legs just above the knees. And then with your next inhale, you could do this with bent knees with the block too, or now with straight legs. Lift through the hips. Anchor the root of the big toes, the root of the big toe. Point the toes down, lift through the hips. Anchor the root of the big toes. Good. Stay there. 2 more breaths, inhale. And a long, deep exhale, we can lower back down. Whew. You can remove the block. Bend the knees, hold behind the legs, and come slowly down onto your backs. Yes. Did I hear somebody say yes? So some of you might like just to rest straight away in Supta Baddha Konasana, the soles of the feet together and the knees apart. Some of you might like one last back bend as a counterpose to all the rounding, all the forward bending. That might be a bridge for you, or I walk you through Urdhva Dhanurasana, a stronger back bend. The knees will bend and the feet are grounded, the heels are underneath the knees, and the feet are about hip width apart. We'll raise the arms up toward the ceiling and then bend the elbows and bring the hands above the shoulders. Maybe the fingers point down underneath the shoulders. Elbows open toward the ceiling. First lift through the pelvis as in bridge pose, and then maybe come to the crown of the head or directly straighten the arms. And press through the feet. You could choose to lift the heels and press into the balls of your feet. And open your heart toward the back of your yoga mat. Lift the pelvis toward the ceiling and breathe. Check in with your breath. Stay as many breaths as you like. When you do come down, look up toward the ceiling, inhaling, and then bending the elbows, coming to the back of the shoulders, exhaling. Once you are down, we all meet in Supta Baddha Konasana. So the soles of the feet together, the knees apart. You can bring the arms up by your ears if you like, and we take full, deep breaths. This might feel quite welcoming after a class full of rounding and forward bends, deeper hip openers, side bends. If you feel you need a final twist before Shavasana, then go ahead and do your favorite twist now. Maybe 3 to 5 breaths on either side. Or you can come into directly come into Shavasana.